Why is estate planning so important for homeowners? And what are the risks of not having a plan in place?
Okay, so that's a great question. It's a great place to start. But what I want to do is I want to start off with the very basic understanding and try to break it down. And estate planning is a living trust document that is a legal contract between you, the grantor, and your beneficiaries, which are usually your kids. And the contract is between you and your kids to know what's going to happen with your things when you die. And the government helps you enforce that by having the legal language on your contract. So now that we know that a living trust, what a living trust is, it's a legal document between you and your kids on what you want to have happen with your body, your soul, and more importantly, your assets. Mm-hmm. There's two things that a living trust does that protects your family and your assets. So first of all, I want to talk about the most important thing, which is your children. Mm-hmm. If you are a parent and you don't have a living trust and something were to happen to you, with your living trust, you have what's called a guardianship document that provides who's going to be the guardian of your children temporarily and permanent when you're no longer here. God forbid something happens and the kids have to go. If there's no local relative, if there's no local family member that is close by, those kids are going to go to social services. Social services is equivalent of being in jail. When I always ask somebody, how was jail? They said it was the worst thing ever. Can you imagine for a child? A living trust can prevent that from happening because you have a guardianship agreement in your living trust to protect your children. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it prevents you from going to probate court. And what does that mean? What is probate court? Probate court is where the government, our court system is the government, decides what happens to your kids, what happens to your home, what happens to your savings accounts, what happens to your car. The government decide who ends up with that. And then on top of that, they charge you for it. So that is called probate. When they charge you for going to court and deciding what happens, the government says we want to protect our citizens from having any kind of issue with in making sure that their belongings go to the rightful owner. However, we're going to charge you anywhere from 6 to 8%. In California, the average home is $700,000. So it could be that the average probate and attorney fees are about $42,000. However, if you don't have a home, but you have a retiree or a retirement account, the government also appoints, that has to also, they seize those assets and then make that happen. So one, what's the worst thing that could happen to you? Or not to you, because you'll be past, you already have the afterlife. However, you will have your family or your heirs or your beneficiaries or your kids will have to go to court. And here's what that conversation looks like. An attorney comes in and says, no worries, I can help you. It's $50,000. I will help you get through the probate courts, make sure you get all the belongings. However, you don't have to pay me any money until you have to sell the house. What does that mean? That means that the house has to be sold to pay the attorney. So to prevent the house from getting lost or stolen or keeping it, if you have a living trust in place, the transfer happens seamlessly with no additional cost. That protects your loved ones, and two, it protects your assets, the hard-earned money that you've had that you built over the lifetime.